This is not a guide to manifesting, it is a key to remembering. The law of attraction you know is only the surface. Beyond the veil lies a sacred truth. You were never meant to struggle. Listen closely, for these ancient secrets will awaken what your soul has always known. 33rd Degree Knowledge. Introduction. What you are about to encounter is not a lesson in something new. It is a stirring of something old, older than language, older than the stars. It is the soft awakening of a memory buried deep within your soul. These words are merely the key. The knowing has always been yours. The law of attraction, as many speak of it today, is but a fragment, a flicker of a greater flame. Long before it was named, ancient mystics walked hand in hand with this force, bending reality with reverent precision. They knew the secret, not as belief, but as being. This is their echo, guarded in shadow, passed quietly from initiate to initiate. This sacred science was never meant for the masses. It was meant for the ready. For you. For this moment. It is not about wishing. It is about remembering. Reality does not respond to your words. It responds to your vibration, your essence, your truth. Within these chapters lies a code, a pattern so fundamental to existence that once recognized, it cannot be unseen. It is the skeleton key that unlocks every door, the master frequency that harmonizes with all creation. This is not about learning, but about remembering what your spirit has always known. As you journey through these teachings, you will discover how to align with the sacred currents that shape reality. You will learn to speak the language of the universe itself, not through empty words or desperate pleading, but through the ancient art of energetic resonance. The doorway before you leads to remembrance. Through it lies not just manifestation, but transformation, not just attraction, but transcendence. The choice to step through is yours alone. Part 1. The First Veil. Awakening to the Forgotten Laws. Chapter 1. The First Veil. In a village where ancient winds carried whispers of forgotten wisdom, young Walter spent his days watching life unfold through windows clouded by mundane routine. Each morning brought the same sights: merchants arranging their wares, children chasing each other through dusty streets, elderly craftsmen bent over their work. Until one evening, as shadows lengthened across cobblestones, a mysterious traveler appeared at the village square. The traveler, wrapped in a cloak that seemed woven from starlight itself, approached Walter with a peculiar object, a mirror unlike any other. "This shows not what is, but what could be," the traveler said, extending the mirror. On its surface, Walter saw not his reflection, but visions of possibilities that took his breath away. The truth you now approach is similar to Walter's mirror. It reveals not what your eyes see, but what your spirit intends. Most souls walk through life as Walter once did, believing they are witnessing reality when they are, in fact, creating it with every thought, every belief, every emotion that passes through their being. The veil between what you think you see and what truly exists is gossamer thin, yet remarkably persistent. It is made of thoughts repeated so often they have become transparent to you. Invisible beliefs that color every experience before it reaches your consciousness. Your beliefs are not mere thoughts, they are the architects of your perception. Your perceptions give birth to emotions, and these emotions are the very substance from which your reality is fashioned. This is the sacred science of manifestation. Your emotional state is not a response to reality, but rather the mold into which reality flows. Years later, Walter returned to find the traveler. His eyes now held the wisdom of one who had seen beyond the veil. "The mirror showed me nothing I didn't already know," he said, "but everything I had forgotten to see." The world around him remained unchanged, yet Walter walked through it as if in a different dimension, one where possibility danced at his fingertips. This mirror of truth now turns to you. The limitations you perceive, the boundaries you accept, the walls that seem to block your path, are they solid, or are they veils you have chosen to believe in? Take this ancient practice. In the silence of your heart, write down 5 beliefs that constrain your life. Face each one in turn and ask with gentle curiosity, is this true or merely a veil I've agreed to wear? Let the answer emerge not from your mind but from the depths of your being, where truth has always resided. Chapter 2: The Secret Flame. In the rolling hills of Kentucky, where mist clings to ancient trees and whispered wisdom echoes through valleys, lived Eleanor, a woman who understood the language of plants and the secrets they held. Her small cabin, surrounded by herbs and flowers, stood as a testament to nature's quiet power. One autumn evening, as she tended her garden, her hands brushed against something buried beneath years of earth, a lantern, unlike any she had seen before. The lantern was crafted of metal that seemed to shimmer with its own light, untarnished by time. When Eleanor lifted it from its earthen bed, she noticed it held no oil, no wick, yet a gentle glow emanated from within. Night after night she sat with this mysterious light, until understanding dawned like the first rays of morning sun. The lantern's glow responded to her innermost state of being. You too carry such a light within. This eternal flame is not something to seek, but to remember. It is the divine intelligence that has guided every master, sage, and awakened soul throughout time. This inner fire responds not to external forces, but to your alignment with universal truth. When you stand in harmony with your deepest self, this flame burns bright enough to illuminate any darkness. It is the source of every inspired thought, every moment of clarity, every instance of knowing without knowing how you know. This is not metaphor, but literal truth. There exists within you a conscious force of creation, waiting to be acknowledged. In time, Eleanor came to understand that the lantern merely reflected what was already present within her. One day, a troubled boy named Thomas, known throughout the village for his anger and confusion, found his way to her door. Instead of offering herbs or remedies, Eleanor showed him how to sit quietly and feel the warmth of his own inner light. Close your eyes, she instructed, and imagine a flame in your heart, burning steady and bright. Day after day, Thomas returned. Gradually, his anger melted like frost in the morning sun. The light in his eyes grew stronger, matching the glow he had discovered within. You are no different from Thomas. The eternal flame burns within you at this very moment. It requires no kindling but awareness, no fuel but faith. It has never dimmed, never wavered, never gone out, even in your darkest moments. Take now this sacred practice. Light a single candle in a quiet space. Let your breath flow gently and deeply. With each inhale, feel the flame within growing brighter, stronger, more radiant. With each exhale, let its light fill every cell of your being. Speak these words with quiet certainty. The light within me is eternal and awake. Let this truth resonate through your entire being, awakening what has always been there, waiting. Chapter 3: The Watcher Within. In a secluded grove where ancient oaks whispered secrets to the wind, Franklin found his sanctuary. Though his eyes had long since ceased to see the physical world, he discovered a vision far more penetrating. Each morning he would make his way to a weathered oak, guided by the familiar touch of bark beneath his fingers, and there he would sit in the stillness. You see, Franklin's blindness became his gateway to a deeper perception. As he sat in meditation, voices began to emerge, not from the world around him, but from the vast expanse of consciousness itself. Past and future merged in his awareness, revealing themselves not as linear progression, but as eternal presence. Through this experience, you too can understand the fundamental truth that eluded humanity for ages. You are not the body that sits, not the thoughts that race, not the emotions that surge. You are the timeless awareness in which all these experiences arise and dissolve. When you believe yourself to be your thoughts, you become like a sailor who thinks he is the storm. Yet you are the vast sky through which all weather passes. This recognition is not merely philosophical. It is the key to mastering your creative power. Just as Franklin learned to sit unmoved while thoughts and sensations flowed through his awareness, you can discover the same unwavering presence within yourself. Your true nature is like the depths of the ocean, still, powerful and undisturbed by the waves that dance upon its surface. Years later, Franklin began sharing this wisdom with others who found their way to his oak tree. "Sit," he would say, "and watch your thoughts, as you would watch leaves floating down a stream." Those who heeded his guidance discovered that their mental turbulence, when merely witnessed, began to settle of its own accord. This is the art of conscious detachment, not a rejection of experience, but a shift in identity from the temporary to the eternal. As you practice this ancient way, you will find that manifestation flows not from the agitated mind, but from the still depths of pure awareness. Now find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Allow your spine to rise naturally, your breath to flow easily. As thoughts arise, memories, worries, plans, simply watch them pass through your awareness. Do not grasp, do not resist. With each breath, silently affirm, "I am the watcher, not the wave." This practice, passed down through countless generations, holds the power to transform your relationship with existence itself. In the space of pure witnessing, you access the true source of all creation. Chapter 4. The Voice Behind the Desire. In the heart of a bustling city, where dreams often fade beneath the weight of routine, lived a young woman named Clara. Each night she would wake from vivid dreams of a life so different from her own, dreams of speaking to crowds, healing hearts, and touching lives across continents. These visions felt more real than her waking hours, yet she dismissed them as mere fantasy. You must understand that desires are not random impulses or fleeting wants. They are sacred messages, whispered directly from the universal mind into your consciousness. When Clara encountered an aging sage in a quiet garden, his words struck a chord deep within her soul. The dreams that visit you are not accidents. They are invitations. This truth has been guarded through ages. Your deepest desires are divine impulses, calling you toward your highest expression. They are not meant to torment you with what you lack, but to guide you toward what you are becoming. Each authentic desire carries within it the seed of its own fulfillment. Clara began to honor these whispers instead of pushing them aside. She recognized that her yearning to speak and heal was not a sign of dissatisfaction, but a beacon illuminating her path. The sage taught her to sit with each desire, not as something to chase, but as something to understand. Months passed, and Clara followed one clear desire, to create a space where others could discover their own inner truth. She did not force or strain, but allowed this desire to guide her choices, her words, her steps. What unfolded was beyond what her mind could have planned. A gathering of souls who, like her, were learning to trust their inner compass. You see, when you honor desire as sacred guidance rather than suppress it as selfish wanting, you align with the universe's natural flow. Your desires are not random. They are the language through which the infinite speaks to the individual. Now take your journal and write down your 3 deepest desires. Not the ones you think you should want, but the ones that whisper to you in quiet moments. For each desire, ask yourself, what version of me would naturally live this reality? Then for 1 hour, step fully into that self. Move as they would move, speak as they would speak, see through their eyes. This is not pretense, it is practice in aligning with your emerging truth. Remember, desire is not the enemy of spiritual growth, but its ally. When you understand this, you begin to see that every authentic desire is a thread in the grand tapestry of your becoming. Chapter 5. The Mirror Principle. In the heart of an ancient marketplace where the aroma of fresh bread has woven through narrow streets for generations, you will find a truth as old as breaking bread itself. This wisdom emerged through Thomas, a baker whose loaves were as heavy as his spirit. Each morning as Thomas kneaded his dough, he noticed a peculiar pattern. On days when frustration churned within him, his customers seemed especially demanding, even hostile. When anxiety gripped his heart, his bread would not rise properly. Yet on rare mornings when peace filled his soul, everything flowed with mysterious grace. You must understand this fundamental truth. The world around you is not a collection of random events, but a living mirror reflecting your inner state. This is the mirror principle, a law as constant as gravity itself. Every interaction, every circumstance, every seemingly chance encounter serves as feedback from the universal field of consciousness. This mirror does not exist to judge or punish. It exists to awaken you to your own power. When you encounter difficulty, look not to the mirror, but to what it reflects. Your outer world will shift only when your inner world transforms. Thomas discovered this truth gradually. He began to notice how his thoughts about scarcity drew customers who complained about prices. His fears about not being good enough attracted critics. But as he shifted his internal dialogue from lack to abundance, from fear to trust, the mirror of reality responded in kind. "I am worthy of success," he would whisper while shaping his loaves. "My work brings joy and nourishment to all who receive it." Day by day, his customers began to mirror these affirming thoughts. They spoke of how his bread brought comfort to their homes, how his shop felt warm and welcoming. The transformation you seek in your external circumstances begins with aligning your internal state. The universe cannot help but reflect what you hold within. This is not magical thinking. It is the natural law of consciousness responding to itself. Now, stand before a mirror and speak aloud the words you wish to hear from life. If you desire abundance, speak words of generosity. If you seek love, speak words of compassion. Then, carry these words into your day, not just as sounds, but as actions. Let your behavior reflect the reality you wish to create. Remember, the mirror never lies, but it also never judges. It simply shows you where you stand in relation to your own truth. When you align your inner state with what you wish to experience, the reflection must change. This is the law that governs all manifestations. Chapter 6, The Word as Wand. Within the hushed corridors of an aging library, where wisdom sleeps in forgotten volumes, you will discover a truth about the sacred power of words. This revelation came through Mabel, a keeper of books whose quiet dedication masked an extraordinary awakening. One autumn evening, while reorganizing ancient texts, Mabel uncovered a leather-bound manuscript, its chapters brittle with age. As she opened it, golden letters seemed to dance before her eyes, revealing the vibrational essence of human speech. Each word, she learned, carried a frequency that rippled through the fabric of creation. You must understand that your words are not mere sounds floating in the air. They are seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. Every utterance shapes the energy around you, creating ripples that touch both seen and unseen realms. When you speak of lack, you strengthen its presence. When you declare abundance, you summon its manifestation. This power does not discriminate between whispered thoughts and proclaimed declarations. Each word carries the same creative force, blessing or cursing according to its nature. Your casual complaints weave threads of discord, while your conscious blessings craft tapestries of harmony. In time, Mabel began applying this wisdom to her small town, which had fallen into decline. Instead of joining the chorus of defeat that echoed through empty storefronts, she spoke words of renewal. "Our community flourishes," she would say, even when evidence suggests otherwise. "Prosperity flows through our streets like a river of light." Day by day, her aligned speech began to shift the town's energy. Others caught the resonance of her words, and their own speech began to change. Where there had been criticism, appreciation bloomed. Where fear had dwelt, faith took root. Within months, new businesses opened, community spirit awakened, and the town pulsed with fresh vitality. You hold this same power in your tongue. Your words can heal or harm, create or destroy, lift up or tear down. This is not metaphor, but metaphysics, the literal interaction between consciousness and creation. Now dedicate one full day to speaking only blessings. Let no criticism pass your lips, no complaint cloud your speech. Bless your morning coffee, your challenging commute, your difficult colleagues. Speak words of abundance over your finances, words of health over your body, words of harmony over your relationships. Record how this practice shifts your experience of reality, noting changes in both energy and circumstance. This practice will reveal that your words are not simply describing your world, they are creating it. Each blessing you speak is a seed planted in the garden of possibility, each positive declaration a thread woven into the fabric of your future. Chapter 7. The Sacred Pause. In the heart of an ancient city where time itself seemed to flow differently, there lived a craftsman named Samuel. His workshop, filled with the gentle rhythm of countless timepieces, held a secret that would unveil one of the universe's most powerful truths. You see, Samuel had mastered not just the mechanics of clocks, but the sacred space between their ticks. Through years of patient observation, he discovered that within these microscopic eternities lay the seeds of transformation. Each tick marked not just the passage of time, but a doorway into infinite possibility. Within these intervals of stillness, you possess the power to reshape reality itself. When faced with any situation, there exists a holy pause, a space between what happens and how you choose to respond. This pause, though brief, contains the power of the entire universe. Most drift through life reacting instantly to circumstances, missing the creative potential that lives in the space between moments. Yet in this sacred pause dwells your true power, the ability to choose consciously rather than react unconsciously. Samuel's understanding deepened one fateful morning when a wealthy merchant arrived, demanding an impossible deadline for a complex timepiece. In the past, Samuel would have immediately refused, triggering a chain of unpleasant consequences. But this time he caught himself in the pause between the merchant's words and his own response. In that stillness, he glimpsed a different possibility. Taking a conscious breath, Samuel felt time expand around him. In this expanded awareness, he saw not just the merchant's demand, but the fear and pressure driving it. Instead of refusing, he offered an alternative solution that blessed both parties. This single pause transformed what could have been a conflict into a lifelong partnership. You hold this same power in every moment. When anger rises, pause. When fear grips, pause. When judgment surfaces, pause. In these spaces between reaction and response lies your greatest creative power. Throughout your day, set a timer to ring at random intervals. When it sounds, stop everything. For 1 full minute, enter the sacred pause and ask yourself, what am I creating now? Let the stillness reveal the truth of your current creation. Notice the thoughts flowing through your mind, the emotions stirring in your heart, and the energy you're sending into the universe. Are you manifesting from fear or love? From lack or abundance? From resistance or acceptance? This practice of conscious pausing will gradually transform your awareness, allowing you to catch yourself before unconscious patterns take hold. Each time you pause, you strengthen your ability to choose your response rather than merely react. In these moments of stillness, you access the infinite creative power that has always resided within you, waiting to be awakened. Chapter 8. Symbols and Signs. In the quiet halls of an old schoolhouse, a teacher named Dorothy traced her finger along mysterious markings that had appeared in her morning meditation. These weren't ordinary scratches or random patterns. They were messages waiting to be understood. You live in a universe that speaks constantly through the language of symbols. Every event, encounter, and coincidence carries meaning deeper than its surface appearance. Just as ancient societies read the stars and interpreted dreams, you too can learn to understand these divine messages that surround you. When you begin to see life as a living oracle, everything transforms into guidance. The red cardinal that visits your window, the recurring number sequence on your clock, the song that plays 3 times in one day. These are not random events, but sacred communications from the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of existence. Dorothy began noticing these patterns during a particularly challenging period in her life. First came the spiral symbol in her dreams. Then spiral shells appeared on her path. And finally a student drew a perfect spiral on their assignment. Each instance seemed to whisper of cycles, of returning to center, of natural unfolding. The universe speaks in this symbolic language because it bypasses the rational mind and touches the deeper wisdom of your soul. When you attune yourself to this sacred dialogue, life becomes a continuous revelation of truth and direction. A wise woman once told Dorothy that coincidence is merely God choosing to remain anonymous. This understanding led Dorothy to follow the trail of symbols that eventually guided her to heal an old family wound. Through a series of synchronized events, each marked by the spiral symbol, she found herself reconnecting with her estranged sister, completing a cycle that had begun in their childhood. Your life, too, is filled with these divine breadcrumbs, leading you toward your highest good. The key lies in developing your spiritual perception, learning to read the signs and trust their guidance. Every symbol that catches your attention is an invitation to deeper understanding. The practice: select a symbol that resonates with your heart, perhaps a butterfly, a specific color, or a geometric shape. Hold this symbol in your mind and request the universe to communicate with you through it today. When your chosen symbol appears, pause completely. Take 3 deep breaths and open yourself to receive the message it carries. Remember, the message may come through your thoughts, feelings, or a sudden knowing. Trust what arises in that sacred moment of recognition. Chapter 9: The Ancient Law of Agreement. In a dusty attic of an old boarding house, Harold discovered a weathered envelope bearing his signature, though he had no memory of signing it. The document inside revealed agreements he had unconsciously made. I accept that success comes hard. I agree to remain ordinary. I consent to limitation. As he read each line, recognition dawned in his heart. These were not mere words, but the very beliefs he had silently accepted throughout his life. You too have signed invisible contracts with life. Each time you whispered, "I can't." Each moment you decided, "This is impossible." Each instance you thought, "I'm not worthy." You placed your signature on an energetic agreement. These contracts, though unseen, carry the full weight of universal law. The universe honors every agreement you make with reality. When you silently accept that money is hard to come by or love always ends in pain, you bind yourself to that experience as surely as if you had signed in blood. But just as you have the power to make these agreements, you hold the authority to dissolve them. Harold spent years wondering why his efforts never yielded results, why opportunities seemed to pass him by, why abundance remained just out of reach. Now, holding the physical manifestation of his mental agreements, he understood he had bound himself through the power of his own consciousness. In the dim light of that attic, Harold did what you too must do. He consciously revoked the old contracts. One by one, he crossed out each limiting agreement, replacing it with a new declaration. I now choose unlimited possibility. I agree to express my full potential. I accept abundance as my natural state. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you have agreed is possible. Your current life experience reflects the sum total of your conscious and unconscious contracts with reality. Each limitation you experience can be traced back to an agreement you made, perhaps in a moment of fear, perhaps in childhood, perhaps in resignation. Through Harold's story, you glimpse your own power to rewrite these sacred agreements. Just as he discovered that document in the attic, you now uncover the contracts that have shaped your reality. The power to revise them has always been yours. Sacred practice. In the silence of dawn or dusk, take a fresh piece of paper. Write at its top, I now dissolve all previous agreements that limit my expression of life. Below this, craft your new soul contract, stating clearly what you now choose to experience. Sign it with reverence, knowing the universe will honor your new choice. Read this contract aloud each morning for 7 days, feeling the new agreement taking root in your consciousness. Chapter 10. The tuning of truth. In the halls of an ancient conservatory, a violinist named Lucille struggled to master her instrument. Though her technique was flawless, something vital remained missing from her music. Night after night she practiced until her fingers bled, yet perfection eluded her grasp. You too may recognize this struggle. The endless striving for excellence while missing the essential truth. Harmony comes not from effort, but from alignment. Just as Lucille discovered, mastery flows not from the outer performance, but from the inner attunement. One evening, as moonlight filtered through stained glass windows, Lucille set aside her violin and simply listened. In that sacred silence, she heard it, a single pure note resonating within her being. This note carried no sound, yet it sang with absolute truth. She realized that all her years of practice had been an attempt to match this inner harmony. When you align with truth, it resonates in your very cells. Your body knows beyond thought, beyond doubt, when you stand in harmony with your authentic nature. This knowing manifests as a feeling of rightness, a sense of coming home to yourself. Lucille learned to tune first to this inner note before lifting her bow. Her music transformed, not through additional practice, but through surrender to this deeper resonance. The violin became not an instrument to master, but a channel through which truth could flow. During a pivotal performance, Lucille closed her eyes and aligned with that perfect inny note before playing. As she drew her bow across the strings, something extraordinary occurred. The entire concert hall fell into a profound silence, then slowly began to vibrate with her inner harmony. The audience felt not just the music, but the truth from which it sprang. You hold within you this same pure note of truth. It sounds continuous, though often drowned out by the noise of doing, trying, and becoming. When you attune to it, life ceases to be a performance and becomes an expression of authentic being. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Place your hand over your heart and close your eyes. Ask silently, what does truth feel like right now? Let the answer arise not as words, but as sensation. Notice where and how truth resonates in your body. Carry this feeling with you into your next decision, letting it guide your choice. This is not about thinking what is right, but feeling what is true. Part 2, The Ritual of Becoming, Deepening the Practice. Chapter 11, Do This and Reality Will Shift. In the rugged peaks of the western mountains, where gold veins once beckoned fortune seekers, Willard spent 20 years searching for wealth in all the wrong places. His hands were calloused from digging, his spirit worn from chasing glimmers that never manifested into more than fool's gold. You possess this same determined spirit, yet like Willard, you may be expanding it through scattered action rather than sacred alignment. The truth that transformed Willard's life awaits your discovery. One bitter winter morning, lost in a snowstorm, Willard stumbled upon a cave where an ancient hermit dwelled. The hermit spoke no greeting, but gestured for Willard to sit and observe. For 3 days, Willard watched as the hermit performed a single act repeatedly, bringing his thoughts, words, and energy into perfect alignment before taking any action. When you scatter your energy across multiple channels, thinking one thing, speaking another, feeling something else, you dilute your creative power. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are being in totality. The hermit taught Willard to gather himself into a single point of pure intention. First, clear your mind until only one thought remains, he instructed. Then, let your words match this thought exactly. Finally, allow your entire being to vibrate with this unified purpose. Only then, act. In the second winter of his apprenticeship, Willard put this teaching to the test. Having aligned his entire being with a single purpose, he walked into the nearest town and made one decision. That decision led him not to gold, but to something far more precious: the ability to manifest through alignment rather than effort. You see, the sacred act is not about forcing reality to bend to your will. It is about becoming so coherent in your energy that reality naturally reshapes itself around your aligned presence. This is the difference between pushing against life and dancing with it. Sacred practice. Take your journal and write down one pure desire, something your soul longs for beyond reason or doubt. Now sit in silence until your thoughts align perfectly with this desire, clearing away all contrary beliefs. Speak your intention aloud until your words carry the exact frequency of your thought. Feel this alignment in your body until every cell vibrates with this single purpose. Within the next 24 hours, take one action from this state of perfect coherence. Do not hesitate or question. Simply act from this unified field of being. The power lies not in the action itself, but in the alignment from which it springs. Chapter 12. Frequency is the key. In a dimly lit radio room surrounded by the hum of equipment, Nora sat night after night during the darkest hours of war. Her fingers rested lightly on the transmitter, waiting for messages that could change the course of history. Yet the most vital transmission she would ever receive came not through the airwaves, but through the silence between signals. You, like Nora, are constantly broadcasting and receiving. Every thought, every feeling emanates from you as a distinct frequency into the universe. What you seek is already transmitting its signal, waiting for you to tune to its wavelength. Through endless nights of listening, Nora discovered that forcing herself to hear never worked. Only when she matched the precise frequency of what she sought did the message become clear. The universe operates on this same principle. What you wish to manifest already exists as a specific vibration. Your task is not to create it, but to match it. Consider how a radio works. It doesn't generate the music it plays. It tunes to frequencies already present in the air. Similarly, your desired reality already exists as a frequency. By attuning your thoughts, emotions, and energy to that frequency, you naturally draw it into physical form. One night, after months of silence, Nora received a transmission she had long awaited, news of her brother missing in action. But the message came only when she stopped straining and instead became still, matching the peaceful certainty that he was alive. In that moment of alignment, the faint signal grew strong and clear. This law operates with mathematical precision in your life. When you vibrate at the frequency of abundance, abundance flows. When you emanate the frequency of love, love appears. When you broadcast the signal of success, success manifests. The key lies not in forcing these realities into being, but in becoming their living frequency. Sacred practice. In the stillness of morning, select one desire close to your heart. Rather than thinking about it, feel its reality in your body. If it's abundance, feel the ease and flow of unlimited resources coursing through your being. If it's love, feel the warmth and connection radiating from your chest, embracing you like a gentle light. If it's success, feel the quiet confidence of achievement settling into your bones like an ancient truth. Maintain this frequency for 5 minutes, letting your entire being broadcast this signal without strain or doubt. Feel how your cells, your breath, your very essence aligns with this frequency of manifestation. Watch as the universe, like a cosmic radio tower, begins reflecting your transmission back to you in physical form, matching your inner state with outer reality. This practice of embodied frequencies opens channels that mere thought cannot reach, allowing the infinite intelligence of creation to flow through you unimpeded. Chapter 13. The Alchemy of Emotion. In a small cottage overlooking misty hills, Eugene sat with his grief like an unwelcome guest. Each morning he would open his journal, and tears would stain the empty chapters. Yet in those tears, a hidden wisdom waited to be discovered. You too carry emotions that seem too heavy to bear, yet within each feeling lies a doorway to power that most never discover. The ancient ones knew this truth. Emotion is energy in motion, a force as real as gravity, as potent as lightning. When you resist what you feel, you resist the very current of creation itself. Your emotions are not enemies to be conquered or burdens to be buried. They are instruments of transformation, each carrying a specific frequency that can alter the fabric of reality. Eugene discovered this truth one autumn morning. Instead of turning away from his heartache, he allowed it to flow through him completely. As he wrote, something extraordinary happened. His words began to glow with an otherworldly light, carrying not just his personal pain but a universal healing. The villagers who read his poem found their own sorrows transformed. A baker who had lost his wife found the courage to bake again. A child who hadn't spoken since her father's passing began to sing. The words had become vessels of alchemical change, turning lead into gold, darkness into light. This is the sacred art of emotional alchemy, not the denial of feeling, but its intentional transformation. When you honor what moves through you, it becomes fuel for creation. Your tears can water gardens of possibility. Your anger can forge new paths of power. Your joy can light worlds into being. The practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where your inner wisdom can emerge unhindered. Allow one difficult emotion to surface fully. No resistance, no judgment, no desire to push it away or change it. Feel it in your body with complete acceptance. Where does it live? What color paints its presence? What temperature radiates from its core? Does it pulse, vibrate, or remain still? Stay present with it until it reveals its hidden truth. For every emotion carries within it a sacred message waiting to be heard. Write this truth in your journal, letting the words flow naturally from that deep well of feeling. Now, transform it into an affirmation of power, remembering that within every shadow lies a gift of light. If grief visits you, perhaps it speaks of the depth of your love. If anger rises, it may reveal where you must stand strong. Let the emotion become your ally, your teacher, your fuel for transformation. In this alchemy of feeling, you discover that nothing within you needs to be cast out. All can be transmuted into golden wisdom. Chapter 14. The Law Beyond Attraction. In a small town where dreams gathered dust on windowsills, a seamstress named Doris stitched garments for others, while her own aspirations lay folded in a drawer. Each night she would close her eyes and picture a life of abundance, yet each morning brought the same worn reality. You stand now where Doris once stood, caught between vision and manifestation. The ancient wisdom reveals that visualization alone is but half the sacred equation. The universe responds not to what you wish for, but to what you embody. Within you lies a version that already lives the life you seek. This self is not a distant dream, but a present possibility waiting to be worn like a garment. The law of embodiment transcends mere attraction. It demands that you become the frequency you wish to attract. Doris discovered this truth when an elderly customer spoke words that sparked an awakening. Child, you dress everyone in their dreams, but you're wearing your limitations. That night, Doris opened her closet and saw not clothes but choices. She began dressing as the successful boutique owner she longed to be. She adjusted her posture, refined her speech, made decisions from abundance rather than lack. The shift was subtle at first. A knowing glance from a wealthy client, an unexpected referral, a chance meeting with an investor. But as Doris continued to embody her future self, reality began to reshape itself around her new vibration. She moved through her days not as one who hoped for success, but as one who knew it intimately. Within months, her small alteration shop transformed into the town's most sought-after boutique. Yet the true transformation wasn't in her circumstances. It was in her being. She had become the woman she once only imagined. This truth beckons to you now. The life you seek already exists within. Your task is not to reach for it, but to express it. Every choice, every word, every action must flow from this deeper knowing. The practice: stand before your mirror and ask yourself, how would the version of me who has already achieved this dream behave today? Then, for one full day, align your actions with this truth. Dress as they would dress. Speak as they would speak. Choose as they would choose. Let your future self guide your present moments. Move through your day with the quiet confidence of one who has already received their heart's desire. When you encounter decisions, pause and ask, what would my accomplished self do in this moment? If they would stand taller, stand taller. If they would speak with greater authority, let that authority flow through your words. If they would approach challenges with serene certainty, embrace that serenity now. Remember, you are not pretending. You are practicing the art of becoming. Each gesture, each word, each choice is a bridge between who you appear to be and who you truly are. Let your future self guide your present moments, for in doing so, you dissolve the illusion of time that separates you from your destiny. Chapter 15: The Invisible Threads. In a valley where mountain winds carried whispers of forgotten truths, a telegraph installer named Alvin spent his days connecting lines between distant places. His hands knew the cold bite of copper wire, but his heart knew a deeper kind of isolation. You, like Alvin, may have felt the weight of separation, the illusion that you stand alone in this vast universe. Yet what Alvin discovered, and what you are about to understand, reveals the sacred thread that binds all existence. One dawn, as sunlight pierced the morning mist, Alvin's eyes opened to a sight beyond ordinary vision. Golden threads, luminous and alive, stretched between every person, every tree, every stone. Each thought sent ripples along these connections, each feeling pulsed like light through an eternal web. The universe speaks through this living network. Every kind word, every gentle thought, every act of compassion travels along these threads, gathering power as it moves. What you send into this web returns to you, multiplied by the infinite connections it touches along the way. For months, Alvin observed how anger sent dark tremors through the threads, while love made them shine with increasing brilliance. He began a simple practice. Each morning, he would send thoughts of love to a stranger he glimpsed from his telegraph pole. Years passed, and Alvin had forgotten this daily ritual until one winter morning when a woman stopped beneath his pole. She held a basket of warm bread and healing herbs, gifts she had felt called to bring to the man who had unknowingly helped her through her darkest days with waves of unexplained comfort. The threads you cannot see are nonetheless real. Your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions. They travel far beyond your awareness, touching lives you may never meet. The universe keeps a flawless ledger of energy exchanged, returning to each soul what they have offered to the whole. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment in your day. Close your eyes and picture the golden threads extending from your heart. Choose 3 people, 2 whom you naturally appreciate, and 1 who has caused you pain. Send a pure wave of love along these threads, expecting nothing in return. Feel the energy leave your heart, knowing it travels through the infinite web of connection. Notice how your own field shifts as you become a source of light rather than a seeker of it. The universe will begin its perfect work of return, though the form it takes may surprise you. Chapter 16: The Initiation of Doubt. In the shadows of an ancient monastery garden, a mystic in training named Louise knelt in prayer, her heart heavy with silence. For years, signs and synchronicities had guided her path, but now, when she needed them most, the heavens seemed sealed. You have known this darkness, that moment when the universe appears to turn its face away, when prayers seem to echo in an empty room. Like Louise, you may have felt abandoned by the very forces you trusted most deeply. The truth that awaits you in this teaching is both simple and revolutionary. The silence is not abandonment, it is invitation. When the external guides fall quiet, your inner voice can finally be heard. Louise spent 7 nights in that garden, each darker than the last. No visions came, no angel spoke. Yet in that void something stirred, not from above, but from within. A knowing that had always been there, waiting for the noise of seeking to subside. What you seek is not found in signs or wonders. It lives in the quiet certainty of your own heart. When you learn to trust this inner knowing, even in the face of doubt, you step into true power. Years later, Louise encountered a young woman tormented by similar darkness. "The guides have left me," the woman wept. Louise smiled and took her hand. "They haven't left. They're letting you find your wings." That night, without waiting for permission from heaven, Louise performed her first healing. No lights appeared, no voices sang, yet the woman rose transformed. Her illness vanished. Louise had discovered that power flows not from external validation but from internal certainty. Your doubts are not obstacles, they are guardians of deeper truth. Each question marks the threshold of greater knowing. Each moment of uncertainty invites you to stand in your own authority. The universe does not require you to be certain of the path. It asks only that you be certain of yourself. When you trust despite doubt, you perform the highest magic. Practice. Write down one doubt that haunts your heart, that persistent whisper that makes you question your path. Beside it, pen a new belief that resonates with your deepest truth, one that springs from the wellspring of your inner knowing. Make this belief bold and clear, stated in the present tense, as though it already exists. Each time the doubt whispers today, speak your new belief aloud with conviction. Let the vibration of your voice carry the power of your certainty. Let your words become the bridge between hesitation and action, between fear and faith. Let your voice become the answer you've been seeking, for within its resonance lies the key to your transformation. Chapter 17, Shadows into Gold. Deep in the heart of coal country, where the earth whispers ancient secrets to those who listen, Clyde descended into the mines each morning, his lamp casting shadows that danced like spirits on the rough-hewn walls. For 20 years he had feared these shadows, seeing them as harbingers of danger and death, until the dreams began. You, like Clyde, may have turned away from the darkness within and around you, believing it held only pain or loss. Yet within every shadow lies a doorway to transformation, waiting to be discovered. Night after night, Clyde dreamed of the coal seams transmuting to gold, of darkness itself becoming light. At first, he dismissed these visions as mere fancy. But as they persisted, he began to understand. The very darkness he feared was calling him to a deeper truth. The shadows in your life are not your enemies, they are teachers, bearing gifts wrapped in darkness. Each fear, each pain, each moment of rage or grief carries within it a seed of power, if you dared to look closer. For Clyde, the revelation came in a moment of fury. After another futile day of barely making ends meet, he struck the coal face in anger, and in that instant saw himself clearly for the first time. His poverty wasn't just in his pocket, but in his belief that he deserved no better. The coal dust that covered him daily was a reflection of how he had buried his own light. That night, instead of fighting his anger, Clyde sat with it. He allowed it to speak, to show him its hidden wisdom. In its dark depths, he discovered a burning desire for more, not just for himself, but for all who labored in shadows. Within 6 months, Clyde had started a miners' collective, turning his understanding of the earth's secrets into prosperity for the entire community. The darkness he had feared became the very source of his transformation. You too carry shadows that seem to block your path. Yet these very obstacles contain the keys to your advancement. The pattern you see as a curse may be the doorway to your greatest blessing. Sacred practice. In the silence of this moment, bring to mind a pattern that has haunted your steps. Perhaps it is fear or lack or conflict that repeats like an echo in a deep cave. Take your journal and write this pattern at the top of a page. Now close your eyes and ask with full presence, what is this teaching me about my power? Let the answer rise from the depths of your being, unfiltered and raw. Write what comes. Then, before the sun sets today, take one action that honors this wisdom. For in acting from this understanding, you begin the alchemy of shadow into gold. Chapter 18, The Hidden Name. In a small town where autumn leaves whispered secrets to those who knew how to listen, Agnes taught her students more than just reading and arithmetic. Each morning, as she wrote her name on the chalkboard, something felt incomplete, as if those 5 letters couldn't contain who she truly was. You too may sense that the name you carry, the identity you've worn, is but a shadow of your true essence. For beneath the labels and roles you've accepted lies a vibration, a sacred signature that resonates with your highest destiny. One night in the depths of dreams where truth speaks unveiled, Agnes found herself in a garden of starlight. There an ancient voice spoke a name, not in letters, but in pure resonance. Upon waking, she could not speak this name aloud, yet its vibration remained, humming in her bones like a forgotten song. When you align with your true spiritual identity, the world has no choice but to respond. This is not about changing who you are, but remembering who you've always been. The I Am presence within you carries a frequency that, once acknowledged, begins to reshape reality around it. As Agnes carried this secret name in her heart, she noticed subtle shifts. Her students sat straighter, listened deeper. Parents spoke to her differently. It was as if the world could feel the truth she had remembered, even though no outer change was visible. In the sacred science of manifestation, your identity is the foundation of all creation. When you speak, act, and think from your true spiritual signature, you activate forces that have waited lifetimes to serve your purpose. Months later, Agnes encountered a group of children who had lost their way, both in education and in spirit. Without hesitation, she felt her secret name pulse within her, and from that vibration spoke words that opened doors thought long closed. Within weeks, an abandoned building was transformed into a haven of learning for these forgotten souls. You hold such a name within you. It may not be the one on your documents or spoken by others' lips. It is the vibration of your soul's purpose, waiting to be remembered. Practice. In the silence of meditation, allow your breath to slow until you feel the space between thoughts. Ask gently, "What is my true name?" Let the first word, sound, or phrase that arises settle in your heart. Write it in your journal and begin using it silently when you affirm your truth. This name is not for others' ears. It is a key that unlocks the door to your own power. Chapter 19. The Circle of Becoming. In a village where time seemed to flow like a river in circles, there lived a blacksmith named Everett. Each morning he would wake before dawn, stoke the same fires, hammer the same metals, and wonder why his fortunes never changed. The coins that filled his purse would empty just as predictably as the moon waxed and waned. You too may notice these cycles in your life, the same challenges appearing in different guises, the same lessons knocking at your door. These are not mere coincidences, but messages from the universe, waiting for you to perceive their deeper meaning. Within each pattern lies a doorway to transformation. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, will present the same situation until you choose a different response. It is not the event that binds you, but your habitual reaction to it. Everett's awakening came when an old wanderer spoke of the power of morning rituals. Instead of beginning each day with thoughts of lack, Everett started his mornings by blessing his forge, speaking words of abundance to his tools, and visualizing prosperity flowing through his work. This single shift, this new response to the eternal dawn, began to alter the fabric of his reality. Customers who had never noticed his shop suddenly appeared. His work took on a quality that seemed to carry light within the metal itself. The power to break any cycle lies not in fighting against it, but in choosing a new point of entry. When you change your response, you transmute the energy that has kept the pattern in motion. One morning, as Everett held a piece of glowing iron, he realized that his poverty had been nothing but a thought, hammered into habit by years of unconscious repetition. In that moment of clarity, he let the old pattern melt away like metal in his forge. Life presents these cycles not to trap you, but to teach you. Each loop carries a gift, an opportunity to choose again, to respond with greater awareness, to break free from the unconscious patterns that have shaped your reality. The practice of pattern breaking is both subtle and profound. It requires you to become aware of your automated responses and consciously choose a different path. Even the smallest change in your habitual reaction can create ripples that transform the entire cycle. Sacred practice. Identify one recurring loop in your life, a situation that consistently triggers the same response, emotion, or behavior. Perhaps it's a familiar conflict with a loved one, a habitual reaction to stress, or a pattern of self-doubt that surfaces in specific situations. When you next encounter this loop, pause. Take a deep breath and consciously choose to do something completely different than your usual response, even if it feels unnatural or uncomfortable. If you typically withdraw, step forward. If you usually speak in anger, respond with silence and compassion. If fear usually holds you back, move forward with courage. This deliberate pattern interruption serves as a key that unlocks new possibilities, freeing you from the chains of unconscious repetition. Chapter 20. The Ritual of Remembering. In a small town where memories gathered like dust on windowsills, there lived a woman named Hattie who once filled concert halls with her voice. Now, in the quiet of her autumn years, she sat alone, her songs forgotten, her spirit dimmed by time's passing. You may recognize this silence in your own life, moments when you've forgotten the music that once moved through you, the power that once sang in your veins. This forgetting is not a failing, but a calling to remember. One morning, while clearing old sheet music from her attic, Hattie discovered a melody she had written in her youth. As she hummed those first notes, something ancient stirred within her chest. It was not merely a song she remembered, but herself, the truth of who she had always been. Each day thereafter, Hattie would sit at her piano at sunrise playing that melody until her fingers remembered their purpose. She began to move differently, speak differently, as though every gesture was part of a sacred song. Her neighbors noticed the change, how she seemed to glow from within, how her words carried the weight of wisdom. At the local senior center, where forgotten souls gathered in silence, Hattie recognized the same dimming she had known. Without announcement or ceremony, she began to hum her melody. One by one, voices that had grown still began to stir. A retired teacher found his baritone, a former nurse and her soprano. Together they remembered who they were beneath the years. You see, remembering is not a destination but a practice, a daily return to the truth within. Each morning brings a new opportunity to reconnect with your essential nature, to clear away the dust of doubt and stand in the light of your authentic power. The rituals you create become bridges back to yourself. Whether through movement, breath, or song, these sacred moments remind you of the eternal spark that no circumstance can extinguish. As Hattie's choir grew, something remarkable occurred. Those who sang began to walk taller, laugh more freely, dream more boldly. It wasn't the music that transformed them. It was the remembering. Sacred practice. Tomorrow, as the sun rises, create a ritual that calls you back to yourself. Choose a practice that resonates with your spirit, perhaps a dance, a prayer, or words written in silence. For 5 minutes, let this ritual become your song of remembrance. Do this each day, allowing the practice to deepen, watching as it awakens the truth of who you are. Part 3. The Master Code, Walking as the Creator. Chapter 21. The Instant Shift. In the quiet aftermath of war, when shadows still lingered in countless homes across the land, there lived a woman named Miriam. Each morning she would trace her fingers across her husband's empty chair, letting grief wrap around her like a familiar shawl. Yet on one ordinary Tuesday, as the clock struck noon, something extraordinary occurred. Time itself seemed to pause, as though the universe held its breath. In that suspended moment, Miriam stood at the threshold between two paths, one carved by sorrow, the other illuminated by an inexplicable light. The choice before her was simple yet profound: to remain tethered to loss or to open her heart to life's continuing flow. You too stand at such crossroads, though you may not recognize them. These sacred instants appear countless times throughout your days, offering doorways to new dimensions of being. The secret lies not in waiting for change to unfold gradually, but in recognizing that transformation happens in a single breath of absolute alignment. In that crystalline moment, Miriam chose love. Not the love that clings to what was lost, but the love that knows all life is sacred, including her own. With that single shift in perception, the entire fabric of her reality began to reweave itself. Her grief didn't vanish. It transformed into a deeper appreciation for life's precious nature. Years later, Miriam encountered a young woman frozen in her own moment of choice. The young woman's hands trembled with fear as she contemplated leaving her hometown to pursue her calling. Miriam recognized that familiar precipice between fear and faith. She shared what she had learned, that when you align completely with truth, even for an instant, decades of limitation can dissolve. The young woman closed her eyes, drew a deep breath, and in that eternal moment, chose trust over terror. Her entire future rearranged itself around that single point of clarity. Not because time had passed, but because she had shifted into complete alignment with her truth. You see, transformation does not require lengthy preparation or countless steps. It demands only your complete presence and willingness to align with what you know to be true. Each moment carries the potential for total renewal if you recognize and claim it. Practice. Set a timer for random moments throughout your day, perhaps 3, perhaps 7 times. Each time it rings, pause completely. Let the world fall away as you ask yourself this vital question. If I chose the highest alignment now, what would I think or do? Feel into the answer that rises from your depths, for it carries the seed of your next transformation. Then, without hesitation or doubt, take that aligned action. This practice trains you to recognize and seize those precious moments when truth beckons you toward your highest expression. Remember, each time the timer sounds is a sacred opportunity to realign with your deepest knowing. Whether the answer guides you to offer a kind word, to begin that project you've been avoiding, or simply to breathe more deeply, trust it. These seemingly small choices build the foundation of your transformed life. Chapter 22. You are the portal. In the mists of time, where sea meets sky in endless dance, there lived a lighthouse keeper named Milton. Night after night, he would climb the ancient spiral stairs, light the great beam, and watch it pierce the darkness. For 30 years he performed this sacred duty, believing his task was merely to guide ships through treacherous waters. One stormy evening, as thunder shook the lighthouse walls, Milton noticed something peculiar about his beam of light. It didn't simply illuminate the darkness, it seemed to part it, like a door opening between worlds. Through this radiant gateway, he glimpsed ships that seemed both there and not there, navigating currents that existed beyond physical sight. You too stand as such a lighthouse, though you may not yet realize it. Your consciousness is not merely awareness of reality. It is the very threshold through which possibility becomes manifest. Through your attention, your intention, your very being, the infinite potential of the universe flows into form. As Milton studied his beam night after night, he began to understand. The light was not separate from him. It was an extension of his own awareness. When his consciousness was clear and focused, ships found their way as if guided by an unseen hand. When his mind was troubled, the beam seemed to waver, and vessels struggled to find safe passage. Years later, Milton encountered a young apprentice keeper who complained that lighthouse work was monotonous. With eyes that had seen beyond the veil, Milton shared his discovery. "The light does not shine out there," he said, pointing to the beam. "It shines through here." He touched his heart. "We are not watching the ships. We are guiding reality itself into being." The apprentice's eyes widened as understanding dawned. That very night, he began to see his role differently. He wasn't maintaining a light. He was maintaining a gateway between the possible and the manifest. Just as Milton's beam bridged worlds, your consciousness bridges the unseen and the seen. Every thought, every intention, every moment of awareness is a portal through which the infinite flows into form. You are not merely experiencing reality, you are the doorway through which it emerges. Practice. Sit with palms open and upturned, breathing deeply and steadily. Let your awareness settle into the present moment as you repeat these sacred words. I am the portal through which life forms. Feel the truth of this statement resonating in every cell of your being. Then, with eyes gently closed, visualize one cherished desire flowing like pure light through your consciousness and into the world. See it taking shape, becoming more vivid and real with each breath. Know that through your focused awareness, the unseen is becoming seen, the unmanifest is becoming manifest. You are the living bridge between possibility and reality. Chapter 23, Reality Bends to Presence. In a quiet corner of an old music hall, where time seemed to pause between the notes, lived Betty, a pianist whose fingers had danced across ivory keys for more than 4 decades. Each morning she would arrive before dawn, settling onto the worn bench as golden light filtered through dust-laden air. Yet it wasn't until one particular autumn morning that she discovered the true power that resided not in the music, but in the space between each note. You see, presence holds a power that effort can never match. As Betty sat that morning, her hands hovering above the keys, she felt something shift within the fabric of reality itself. Instead of pushing to create beauty, she simply allowed herself to become fully present with a single note. As that pure tone rang out, something extraordinary occurred. The very air in the room began to shimmer with new possibilities. Through this single act of complete presence, Betty discovered what mystics have known through the ages. When consciousness becomes fully anchored in the now, reality bends to meet it. Not through force or will, but through the natural law of resonance. The universe responds not to what you do, but to the quality of presence you bring to each moment. Years later, Betty was called to mediate a heated dispute between 2 prominent families in her community. Instead of offering words or counsel, she simply sat in unwavering presence, holding space as silence filled the room. In that profound stillness, something ancient and wise emerged. The families found their anger dissolving, replaced by understanding that seemed to arise from the field of consciousness itself. This truth beckons to you now. Your presence is the doorway through which miracles enter the world. When you bring your full awareness to any moment, you activate forces beyond the visible realm. It is not about doing more or trying harder. It is about being fully here now, allowing your consciousness to become the still point around which reality dances. Sacred practice. Select one daily activity, whether it be eating your morning meal, walking to your destination, or speaking with another. Bring your complete presence to this act, allowing no distractions to dilute your awareness. Watch closely as the field of reality responds to your undivided attention. Notice how time seems to slow, how space becomes charged with possibility, how the ordinary transforms into the sacred through the simple act of being fully present. As you practice this conscious attention, observe how your chosen activity takes on new dimensions of meaning. Feel the weight of your fork, the texture of each step, or the subtle energies exchanged in conversation. Let your awareness expand to encompass every detail, every sensation, every fleeting moment. In this state of profound presence, you become both witness and participant in the dance of creation, allowing the infinite to express itself through the finite. This simple practice opens doorways to deeper understanding, revealing the extraordinary nature that lies hidden within every ordinary moment. Chapter 24, Sacred Repetition. In the shadow of an ancient monastery, where the morning mist clung to stone walls worn smooth by centuries of prayer, lived a bellmaker named Jedediah. Each dawn and dusk, he would climb the weathered steps to ring the bells, marking time's passage for the village below. Yet his heart grew heavy with the sameness of his days, until an aged monk shared a truth that would alter the course of his existence. You must understand that repetition holds power beyond mere habit. It is through sacred repetition that the universe knows your intentions are steadfast. When Jedediah learned this wisdom, he began to approach his daily task not as routine, but as ritual. With each toll of the bell, he infused his consciousness with purpose, allowing the vibrations to carry his intentions into the fabric of reality itself. The law reveals itself thus. What you repeat with devotion becomes etched into the quantum field of possibility. Your consistent thoughts, words, and actions are not mere echoes. They are the very tools through which consciousness shapes matter. Each repetition deepens the groove of probability, until what was once merely possible becomes inevitable. In the years that followed, Jedediah faced a period of profound loss when fire destroyed his beloved workshop. Rather than surrender to despair, he remembered the monk's teaching. Each morning and evening as he rang the bells, he spoke words of renewal and restoration. I am the master of my craft, and abundance flows through my hands. Day after day, he repeated this truth, not as hope, but as devotion. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, his reality began to shift. New opportunities emerged, unexpected doors opened, and his craft evolved beyond what he had previously imagined possible. It wasn't the words themselves that held the power. It was the devotional spirit with which he spoke them. Sacred practice. Select one phrase that embodies the truth you wish to manifest. Let it be simple, clear, and aligned with your highest good. Choose words that stir your soul and awaken the dormant power within. For 7 days, speak this phrase aloud at sunrise and sunset, allowing nature's own rhythms to amplify your intentions. Approach each repetition not as a mechanical act, but as a sacred moment of creation, just as the ancient mystics did when they whispered their devotions to the universe. Feel the vibration of each word resonating through your being, knowing that with each utterance you are engraving this truth deeper into the fabric of reality. Like the bell ringer in our tale, understand that it is not merely the words themselves, but the devoted spirit behind them that holds the transformative power. Each declaration becomes a thread in the tapestry of your emerging reality, weaving together the seen and unseen forces that shape your destiny. Chapter 25. The Master's Mirror. In a small town where whispers carried on autumn winds, there lived a woman named Eliza, who had known both love's warmth and loss's bitter chill. After her husband's passing, she transformed her grief into purpose, opening her home to those seeking guidance through life's storms. You must understand that what unfolds before you is never random. As Eliza sat with her clients day after day, she began to notice something extraordinary. Each person's struggle reflected an aspect of her own inner world that called for attention. The universe speaks through mirrors, and every experience that draws your attention carries a message meant precisely for you. When you resist what appears before you, you miss the sacred teaching hidden within its folds. What you perceive as coincidence is actually consciousness calling you to greater awareness. Eliza noticed that whenever she counseled someone struggling with trust, her own fears of vulnerability would surface. When she guided others through abundance blocks, her own relationship with wealth demanded examination. The very words she spoke to others became medicine for her soul. This mirror principle operates with unwavering precision. Your external reality reflects your internal state of being, not to punish, but to illuminate, not to discourage, but to guide you toward wholeness. One autumn evening, as leaves turned golden outside her window, Eliza counseled a young woman holding on to past hurts. In helping her client release old wounds, Eliza recognized her own clinging to what was lost. This recognition sparked a profound shift. She began to see her widowhood not as an ending, but as a doorway to deeper service. Through this awareness, she discovered that healing others and healing herself were not separate paths. They were one journey viewed from different angles. As she embodied this truth, her practice transformed. Her clients began reporting breakthroughs that mirrored her own inner shifts. The law reveals itself. What you see in others is a reflection of what lives within you. Your reality is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every person, every challenge, every triumph shows you where you stand in relation to your own truth. Sacred practice. Notice 3 recurring situations today. Ask, what part of me is this reflecting back? Write down the answer and shift one small behavior accordingly. Chapter 26, Beyond Wanting. In a quiet corner of an ancient city where cobblestone streets whispered tales of centuries past, lived Raymond, whose life's pursuit had been the gathering of rare and precious things. His home resembled a museum filled with artifacts and treasures from distant lands. Yet despite his collection's grandeur, a hollow ache persisted in his heart. You must understand that the very act of seeking creates the energy of absence. When you chase fulfillment through external acquisition, you strengthen the vibration of lack. Raymond's revelation came not through finding another precious item, but through a profound shift in his inner stance. The truth that transforms lies not in what you obtain, but in who you become. Raymond discovered this wisdom one morning as he sat among his treasures, feeling their weight more than their worth. In that moment, he chose to embody the state of completion, to live as though nothing was missing. Watch closely what unfolded. As Raymond released his grip on wanting, the universe's response was swift and mysterious. A rare manuscript he had sought for decades appeared through an unexpected inheritance. The lost companion piece to his most valuable artifact was discovered in a small shop just streets away. Yet these arrivals no longer held the same desperate significance. They simply flowed naturally into his experience. In the candlelit evening of his revelation, Raymond encountered an old friend who had also been a collector. This man had spent years searching for a particular ancient text, becoming bitter in his pursuit. Raymond shared with him not the secret of finding treasures, but the wisdom of becoming treasure itself. The moment I ceased to need completion, Raymond said, completion found me. This truth extends beyond material acquisition. It touches every aspect of your existence. When you shift from the frequency of seeking to the vibration of being, the very fabric of reality responds accordingly. Your task is not to figure out how to get what you want, but to embody the state of having already received it. Practice. For one day, act as if all your desires are already fulfilled. Carry yourself, speak, and choose as though lack no longer exists. Walk through your world with the quiet confidence of one who has received everything they seek. Let your gestures reflect abundance, your words emanate gratitude, and your choices spring from a place of completeness rather than need. When doubt arises, simply return to this truth. You are already whole, already blessed, already in possession of that which you desire. This practice will align your being with the frequency of fulfillment, allowing universal forces to mirror back to you that which you embody. Chapter 27. The Divine Transaction. In the bustling streets of Manhattan, where fortunes rose and fell with each passing hour, Florence stood at her trading desk, watching numbers dance across the ticker tape. Her hands trembled as she clutched yet another failing trade slip, the weight of scarcity pressing upon her shoulders. You see, most believe the exchange of value occurs only in the physical realm, in dollars and cents, in goods and services. But there exists a deeper current of exchange, one that flows beneath the surface of all material transactions. This is the commerce of energy, the invisible ledger that determines your true wealth. The universe operates through perfect equilibrium. What you send into its vast expanse returns multiplied, not by the measure of your physical offering, but by the vibration of your inner state. Florence discovered this truth when she noticed a pattern. Her most profitable trades came not from better analysis or faster execution, but from moments when she traded in complete trust and inner abundance. One morning, rather than beginning her day with frantic market reviews, she sat in silence. Instead of offering the universe her fear, she extended her faith. Rather than clutching at opportunities, she surrendered to the flow of infinite supply. The results transformed not just her portfolio, but her entire understanding of universal law. Watch what occurred as Florence shifted her energetic offering. A client she had never met transferred their entire account to her management. An overlooked stock she held multiplied in value overnight. Yet the true miracle wasn't in these outer changes. It was in her newfound understanding that every thought, every feeling, every action was a sacred exchange with the infinite. Your thoughts are transactions. Your emotions are currencies. Your state of being is your most powerful offering to the universe. When you extend trust instead of doubt, peace instead of anxiety, abundance instead of lack, the universe must respond in kind. This is the law of energetic exchange. Sacred practice. Before each significant thought or action today, pause and ask yourself, what am I offering the universe with this? Choose thoughts that reflect what you wish to receive. Notice how the universe responds when you trade fear for faith, resistance for acceptance, scarcity for abundance. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to make a new energetic investment in your reality. Begin with small exchanges, a smile offered freely, a kind word shared without expectation, a moment of gratitude given purely. Watch how these sacred offerings ripple outward, returning to you multiplied. As you move through your day, see each interaction as a chance to deposit more light into the cosmic bank of infinite possibility. The universe keeps perfect accounts. It knows every loving thought you think, every gracious deed you perform, every peaceful moment you cultivate. These are the true currencies of transformation. Chapter 28. Walking is the One. In a small village among rolling hills where time seemed to move more slowly than the clouds above, lived a humble tailor named Otis. His skilled hands could transform mere fabric into garments of beauty, yet he carried himself with the weight of one who had forgotten his own worth. Through an amusing twist of circumstance, a passing merchant's carriage broke down before his shop. The travelers, weary and confused, mistook Otis's quiet dignity for noble bearing. Without correction or protest, he found himself providing shelter to guests who treated him as royalty. You must understand, the universe conspires not against you, but for you. It arranges circumstances that invite you to step into your true power. As Otis straightened his spine and spoke with the measured tones of nobility, something extraordinary began to unfold. The truth you seek lies not in pretense, but in remembrance. Each soul carries within it the seed of majesty, waiting to break through the soil of ordinary existence. When Otis began moving with grace, speaking with authority, and carrying himself with the natural dignity of one who knows their worth, the village responded in kind. Years later, Otis stood before his transformed shop, now a renowned establishment where even actual nobility sought his services. Yet the true transformation had nothing to do with his success. The real miracle was that he had finally aligned with the king that had always lived within his heart. You see, reality bends not to what you wish to become, but to what you dare to be in this moment. When you embody your highest self, not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now, the universe has no choice but to reflect that frequency back to you. The practice: choose one sacred hour today, setting it apart as a divine appointment with your highest self. In that hallowed time, embody completely and without reservation the person you know yourself to be at your most elevated level. Let your posture naturally reflect your inner nobility. Shoulders back, spine straight, head held high as though wearing an invisible crown. Let your voice carry the quiet authority of your deepest truth, speaking with the certainty of one who knows their divine heritage. Let your every action, no matter how small, flow from that elevated state of being, as though you were already living as the master of your destiny. After an hour has passed, take time to write down what shifted, both within your own consciousness and in the world around you. Notice how others responded to your presence, how circumstances aligned with your energy, and how the universe itself seemed to bend toward your awakened state of being. Chapter 29, The Hidden Chamber. In the heart of an aging cathedral where shadows dance with filtered light, a librarian named Sylvia discovers what you too shall find if you dare to look deeply enough. While reorganizing ancient texts in the cathedral's basement, her fingers brush against a stone that gives way, revealing a hidden chamber untouched by time. You must understand that such discoveries are never accidents. The universe conspires to show you what you are ready to see. Within this sacred space, Sylvia encounters a mirror unlike any other, one that shows not the surface, but the depths. When you stand before the mirror of truth, it reflects not your features, but your essence. As Sylvia gazed into its depths, she saw not her graying hair or wire-rimmed glasses, but the radiant being she truly was. The mirror showed her wisdom accumulated across lifetimes, courage she had forgotten, and love she had yet to express. This chamber exists within you now. Behind the noise of daily life, beyond the chatter of endless thought, there waits a sanctuary of silence. Here, in this inner cathedral, wisdom flows not from books or teachers, but from the wellspring of your own being. In the days that followed, Sylvia returned to this chamber each morning before the world awoke. In its sacred silence, she found guidance that no external voice could provide. When faced with difficult choices, she would sit in her inner sanctuary and allow truth to arise naturally, like bubbles ascending through still water. You too carry this chamber within. Every question you have ever asked has an answer waiting in the silence of your heart. Every challenge you face has a solution sleeping in the depths of your being. The key is not in seeking, but in allowing yourself to be still enough to hear what you already know. Practice. Close your eyes and place your hand on your heart. Ask, what truth lives in me right now? Wait in silence until it answers. Write it down. Chapter 30. The 33rd Degree Code, Final Revelation. In the depths of an ancient library where wisdom sleeps in forgotten corners, you will find the story of Horus, a tale that holds the key to all you have learned thus far. After decades of philosophical pursuit, this retired scholar discovered a sealed scroll, its edges crumbling with time's gentle touch. It had been left by an order whose name has long since faded from memory, yet whose truth remains eternal. The scroll contained no complex formulas, no elaborate rituals. Instead, it revealed a simple yet profound code. Reality is not a fixed inheritance, but a moment-by-moment choice made through conscious alignment with universal law. This revelation distills the essence of all you have uncovered in these chapters. Every parable, every teaching, every sacred practice points to this singular truth. When you align thought, feeling, and being with your chosen reality, the universe has no choice but to conform. It is not about forcing change through will, but about becoming the frequency of what you seek. This is the art of conscious creation, not through doing but through being. In the years that followed his discovery, Horus transformed from seeker to embodiment. He learned that mastery was not about controlling the world, but about aligning the self. Each morning he would sit in silence, choosing his reality anew, not through mental gymnastics, but through pure resonance with truth. One day, while teaching in the market square, a student asked Horus about the legendary 33rd degree of wisdom. Horus smiled and replied, "The 33rd degree is not a title to be earned or a level to be reached. It is the state of being where you recognize that you are the chooser of your reality, moment by moment, breath by breath." You stand now at this same threshold of understanding. The power to shift reality lies not in what you do, but in who you become. When you align with the truth of your chosen reality, with absolute clarity, unshakable confidence, and unwavering conviction, the universe must respond. This is not manifestation through force, but through frequency. Practice. Stand in a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Plant your feet firmly on the ground, connecting with the earth beneath you. Take a deep breath and declare with the full power of your being, I am the one who chooses, I align, I create, I become. Breathe deeply 3 times, allowing each breath to anchor this truth deeper into your being. Then sit in complete silence, allowing the ripples of this declaration to move through the fabric of reality. Conclusion. Now that the scroll has been unsealed and the code remembered, you stand not at the end of a journey, but at the doorway to an eternal unfolding. What you have discovered within these chapters is not merely information, it is revelation, and more importantly, it is activation. The universe is now listening differently to you because you are no longer speaking from the voice of forgetting. You now carry the vibration of remembrance and with it, the sacred responsibility to live as a conscious creator. This path does not end with a final chapter. It deepens with each breath, each intention, each alignment. The 33rd degree is not a rank to be earned. It is a level of awareness that lives within you, ready to be chosen again and again. The ancient ones knew this truth. Transformation occurs not through accumulation of knowledge, but through the embodiment of wisdom. Each teaching, each practice, each moment of alignment has been preparing you for this recognition. You are not learning something new. You are remembering something eternal. In the silence between these words, feel the resonance of truth stirring within. The power you sought has always resided in your being, waiting for this moment of recognition. The scroll, the stories, the sacred practices, all have been mirrors reflecting back your own innate divinity. You are the one you were waiting for. Let this be the first day of the rest of your remembered power. Walk forward, not to seek, but to become. The universe awaits your conscious command, not through force, but through alignment with the truth of who you are. This is not an ending, but an eternal beginning. Each breath draws you deeper into mastery. Each choice aligns you more fully with your divine nature. The code has been revealed. The door has been opened, and you stand at the threshold of infinite possibility. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.